Hey everyone, so a few people on YouTube I follow have done a thing called 40 books they want to read before they're 40. And some have gotten to that point, some are still on the reading journey. I thought that it would be fun for me to try the challenge, especially now that I have less than 5 years to do it. And I thought I'd put a little twist on it and add some series. So I don't know if I'm just going to count these books or add more to it, and it's going to be more than 40, but it's going to be at least 40 books that I'm going to be reading, hopefully finishing by the time that time hits. So here we have the Renegades trilogy. Let me take a sip of coffee real quick. So this is by Marissa Meyer, who wrote the Lunar Chronicles. I love the Lunar Chronicles. They were so much fun. This series, I believe, has to do with, I know it has to do with, superheroes or people with, superhuman abilities and people who, I think, support them or against them. It seems a little bit darker than the Lunar Chronicles, and I have a feeling that I'm really going to like this one. I started the first book, and it starts out kind of sad, really. So yeah, I'm having high hopes for this one. I have to get back to that one because it's just at the beginning. Next is Shadow and Bone, and this one is from the Grishaverse. I think that's how you say it. World. And if I'm correct, it's like a fantasy book, or it is a fantasy. And it takes place in this world where I think there's a darkness coming, or a very dark section that has creatures and stuff in it, and it just sounds dark and fun. Braceling. So this one I have started, and I believe all the books connect in some way, but I think you can read them separately. I think they're more companion books than straight up continuing series. You know what I mean. So this starts out with a girl named Katza, who is the king's niece, if I remember right. And in this world, there are some people who have a grace, and it's how do I explain it? Like a super ability, right? You're really, really good at something, and she's really, really good at fighting. And so it's kind of about her and her fighting skills and the story that goes along with that. So far, it's been pretty good. I think the premise is interesting, and the covers look awesome. Red Rising. So I think this is one of the only 2 adult series that I have on this list. This is an adult dystopian series. Most dystopian series tend to be YA fiction, whereas most older single dystopians are more adult. So that's a little bit different. So this has to do with I believe colonies on Mars and classism and stuff like that. And since I love the Hunger Games, I feel that I'm probably gonna like this one. The Darkest Minds, another sort of YA dystopian, but I think this one has to do with, if I remember correctly, kids gaining supernatural abilities, and all the things that they have to deal with that. This one is more YA fantasy dystopian-ish, I want to say. Maybe more on the fantasy side, but there's definitely class issues or types of people can't do this and this kind of thing issues. So from what I know, this is a world where there are people with red blood and silver blood, and only silver blooded people have or only silver-blooded people are supposed to have magical abilities. And this girl, who is a regular red-blooded person, can like do magic and stuff. So that sounds interesting. I heard mixed things about this. Like, the character is like maybe not the greatest, but the premise sounds interesting. Shatter Me. Again, love that cover. This one is another like supernatural ability. Why dystopian kind of thing? I'm pretty sure it's in the dystopian category. And this I know is about a girl. I think her name is Juliet, and she has like a deadly touch. You know, like she touches people and they die, or she hurts them in some kind of way. And if I remember correctly, at the beginning, she's supposed to be like locked up for this. And I guess I'll have to read it to find out what else happens. And this one is the other adult series. This one is about time travel, if I remember correctly. It's set, I think, maybe in the 40s or something, maybe during the war. I can't remember quite, or maybe after. But I already know, like, the basic premise, if I remember correctly, is basically historical fiction, and then that person ends up time traveling, I think a few hundred years back to maybe medieval Scotland, I believe. It just sounds interesting. I heard this has somewhat of a romantic plot or subplot or whatever. Not the biggest romance reader. I don't mind it as like a subplot, you know, when there's other things going on. So I think I'm gonna like this one. And yep, that's it. Those were 8 series that I want to read. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.